Whirlpool refrigerator. This one is a head scratcher. The complaint is that it leaks somewhere over the top here. Last time when I was here, I took this apart. Basically, it was making cubes, but leaking out the tube, and it was all frozen up. So the tube was all frozen. So I defrosted the tube, and we ran it overnight, and it started leaking again. So I'm guessing it's gonna be the water valve. It's gonna be frozen or getting stuck, and it's not closing up. So I'm gonna take this apart, basically just to take a look at the ice maker. Gotta take out the ice bucket here. These 4 screws. This part comes off, and I brought the water valve with me, but here's the model number just in case. He did mention that it started after he removed the water filter. He had slow water pressure. Slow water pressure is prone to have water valves leak because they do rely on the pressure to close off. But anyway, I'm gonna take this apart, see what it looks like back there. Okay, screws are out. This piece comes off. Oh, look at that. The tube is frozen. So, definitely we're gonna have a leak, water valve leaking. So, gonna have to put a new water valve. Anytime you see ice fountain from your water valve, from the water fill tube, that means yeah, the water valve is not closing, and you get a slow drip, and with each drip is freezing. Sometimes if you get a bigger drip, you might get a lot of ice buildup, overflowing into the ice bucket. But in this case, I think it's a small leak, so we're gonna put a new water valve, defrost the drain, the fill tube, and it should be fine. He did mention it's leaking at the top, so I'm thinking if it gets clogged here, then the water somehow finds its way out. Never seen this type before, but I'm sure it's one of those issues here. Okay, so this is the back of the fridge where the water valve is located. Basically, it comes in from this line, goes all the way to the main valve. From the main valve goes down this line all the way up to the water filter, and then comes back into the chiller. The chiller is a big loop inside the refrigerator section, and then it comes back out, and it goes into the secondary valve, and then it splits for the water dispenser and ice maker. So the water valve is leaking it's not closing properly for the ice maker. So I'm gonna disconnect that, replace this guy. I already got the part here. So this does have a primary valve, which it's not leaking most likely, but the secondary valve is leaking. But because there's so much water in the line, water in the water filter, in the chiller, and just a little bit of water at a time keeps adding, and then the ice maker. That's how it looks like. So what I'll do, I'll do it the faster way. I have a steam gun. Basically, this is really good. It works really well to remove the ice. Otherwise, you can just pour some hot water, put some towels, or defrost the fridge. So, good rule of thumb: always take a picture to know which connects where. Sometimes the connections are different, sometimes they're the same. The lines, you don't want to mix them up, but usually the the water dispenser is a thicker line, and the skinnier is the ice maker. So in this case, I'm not gonna shut the main water because I do have a valve here, even though it has a little leak here. So I'm gonna just tighten this guy, get rid of the leak. There's gonna be a bunch of water coming out once I disconnect the valve, so be ready to catch it. Put a towel or a bowl because there's a lot of water in the chiller. So okay, the new valve is all hooked up. So to disconnect, you pull these tabs out, look like this, and then you gotta press this blue piece in while pulling on the tube. So it's not the easiest because they do bite. You have to make sure push this in all the way tight. So this tab basically prevents it from being pushed in. It's a safety. And yep, you pull them out and make sure after you put it all together, run it, see if there's no leaks. So I'm gonna put it back together, see how it goes. Okay, so we got the line all defrosted. You can actually see back in there. You can see the tube. And there's a test to run the ice maker fill valve from the control board, or you can just turn it on and let it run. Right now it's off position, and it should fill up with. And I guess it takes quite a few cycles for this problem to come back, so it will be a good thing. Just run it for a day and keep an eye on it. So yeah, basically I hooked it all back up, and I'm gonna give it a day or two to see if it starts leaking again. I've been running into these pretty consistently lately. If you get like waterfall, frozen waterfall off the ice maker tube, it's usually water valve. It's kind of confusing with two valves because you have a main valve that basically should take the pressure off, and if the secondary is leaking, you shouldn't get water coming down that tube. But I do think all that water that's in the chiller and also in the water filter, when it gets cold it expands. Well, actually it should contract. Anyway, it's kind of a test, but I think that's the case here. Some of these do have heater on the fill tube, and that should prevent from any water driplets that are left from the fill, prevent from being frozen, and then they should just drip out. This one doesn't have a heater, so, and most of them don't have a heater, but if it's designed that way, the problem shouldn't come back in one day. So anyway, most likely there's a secondary issue. So in this case would be the valve. And also the customer complained about the water pressure low at some point, and when the water pressure is low also can cause the valve not closing properly. So that's why I went with the water valve. I guess the time will tell. I will put it in the description if I get a call back or not. Hopefully this one is fixed. So thanks for watching, guys.